Today, I'm going to show you how to master Mexico on F124, doing a full lap analysis and then jumping into a full speed hot lap example after the analysis is done. So, getting into the lap now, even before we start on the final corner, using as much track width as possible. The reason this is important is so you gain as much meters of momentum to build up your speed before the start finish line. This straight is so long and so critical for your lap time potential that gaining more momentum before the lap starts is an easy way to gain time over your opposition. During the straight, keep the wheel as straight as possible to minimize the drag and resistance of the car and tires, maximizing your top speed. Into turn 1. You'll be braking at the 100-meter board as well. The crane on the left-hand side is a fantastic reference to be using while in a racing condition. The reason for that is when you're racing and you're quite close to the cars behind, you can lose vision of your reference points. So using that crane, what's quite high up, is static and will never move, is a good way to have a consistent braking reference for the race as well. So, braking at the 100-meter board, and you'll be going down into 4th gear, only using the red and white part of the curbing on the inside, and keep it in 4th gear for the ideal speed, carry, and momentum during the first apex. If you're having understeer, you can drop the car down into 3rd gear, and this will help the rotation a little bit, but ideally keeping the car in 4th gear. As far to the right hand side of the track as possible before setting up the chicane is going to be ideal, and then jumping over these inside curbings, using the orange part of the curbing, as the curbing is quite forgiving in the F124 game, so you want to be using this as much as possible to your advantage. Driving again over the inside orange curbing on the second apex of the chicane and allowing yourself as much track width as possible before getting back on the power, using as much road on the exit as possible. Opening up DRS and flying down to the end of the first sector split. You'll be braking at the 100-meter board on the right hand side, and you're going to be going down into 3rd gear, using as much road as you feel comfortable with on the outside of the track. The curb is quite flat in this example, so you can run over it with minimal negative effects to the car. But if you're looking for slightly more stability in the braking zone, don't use the outside curbing, and your car will constantly be in contact with the concrete and allow yourself more consistent grip. On the inside here, only use the red and white part of the curbing, and the reason you're trying to avoid the orange part of the curbing as it will compromise your car's stability quite a lot, and it's so critical for your car to be stable in this area of the track to set up the following apex. If the car is sliding around and fighting oversteer in this moment, you're going to struggle to get the car to the inside curbstone, and that'll be hurting your lap time potential. On the inside of this curbing, again, you only want to be using the red and white part of the curbing, as the orange curb on the inside, we're traveling too slow and the exit of the corner is too important to sacrifice car stability on the inside of the corner here. On the exit, use as much road as possible, and the reason that the car stability is so critical for even such a short straight here is the corner is basically being set up straight away out of the exit. So if you're fighting wheel spin and oversteer out of this corner, you have less time to set the car up for the following corner, so it's more important to keep the car stable, keep the car platform predictable, and allow yourself the mental confidence to fly into this next apex as fast as possible. I like to keep the car in 3rd gear going into this corner, as it allows me a bit more stability with the rear axle. And on the second part of this apex, you want to be using the red and white part of the curbing, as again, this game is quite forgiving and will allow you to get a good distance around the corner and minimizing the meters around the track, what of course is always going to be an advantage. Avoid using the orange curb on the inside, as again, it will just cause a bit too much instability in the car and lose you the traction that you're fighting to gain. Use all the road on the exit, and now into the high speed section of the track. You want to use as much road on the outside as possible, and then there isn't really a turn-in reference for this corner, so you have to do it by a lot of feeling and how you are confident with the car. Even using a little bit of grass on the inside, trying to maximize the track width and get your right hand side tires to that white line, so again you can minimize the distance around the track. On the exit of the corner, only bringing your outside tires to the red and white curbing. If you run the bottom of the car or the middle of the car over this inside curbing, then ultimately you're going to bottom out the car and cause friction that is going to lower your top speed potential coming out of this sequence of corners, what will cost you about a tenth and a half roughly to your peak lap time potential. So again, only using 2 wheels on this outside curbing to avoid bottoming out, as it is quite big. It's one of the bigger curbs around this track. This is easily flat out for the left-hander and just about minimizing distance. And again, easily flat out. It's just about minimizing distance and not getting a silly track limit invalidation. Opening DRS and bring the car to the left-hand side of the track. At the black box on the top left-hand side of the screen, you'll be hitting the brakes going down into 3rd gear. Of course, using as much road on the outside of the track as possible here, as this is going to open up the apex. And again, you're just going to be dabbing this inside curbing here, as it's just going to be the red and white is going to be optimal, and just glancing this orange curve on the inside to help minimize the distance around the corner. If you use too much of that orange curve on the inside, it will make the car very unsettled, and where the exit here is so tight and so critical to keep the car stable, like I talked about at the start of Sector 2, it's just not worth the compromise, and it's better to have the car more stable, more composed, and more predictable for the exit here, as soon as you've gone through your traction zone and you're ready with the confidence to be full throttle, you're pulling the car over to the right hand side of the track. It is so critical here, absolutely pivotal, that you're braking in a straight line. If you brake while the car is curved and is traveling not in a straight line, you're going to struggle with the rear grip going into the hairpin. Your rear tires have been tortured for the full lap now, and if you overheat them, overstress them in this situation of making combined load, and combined load is when you're braking and turning at the same time, or accelerating and turning at the same time, but in this example, braking and turning, of course. It's just going to overstress the rear axle of the car and make oversteer what is going to be horrific for your lap time, as you're going to get oversteer, and yeah, will ruin your confidence going into this apex. What you want to be doing is in 3rd gear, using as much curbing on the inside as possible. And to be honest, it's not a bad thing if you can actually get the car over this inside orange curbstone as well, as it's going to have minimal disruption to the car's balance. So if you can get over that inside orange curbing, it can be an advantage for you as well. The same is true over this next curbstone. Try and get your car over this orange curbing, as it's not going to be that disruptive to your traction, but it is going to help keep the car straighter on the exit. As you can see, by using this orange curbstone on the inside, it allows me to keep my car in a straight line for longer, as it's lining me up perfectly for this final braking zone of the lap and bringing my car to the outside. And again, there isn't really a braking reference for this corner, so you want to just do it by the feeling. So turning it in, and you do want to be using this inside orange curbing as much as possible. Again though, if you are struggling with traction, especially in the racing situation, but even in qualifying, you can avoid this orange curbing to help bring more stability into the car. But if you have good confidence with the car and the good confidence with the rear axle grip, then you can use the orange curbing on the inside to shoot yourself around the apex and minimize the distance around the corner. Running up to the start-finish line, keep the car to the inside, and that will help you minimize the distance before the start-finish line. And that is a full hot lap analysis here in Mexico. So now jumping in to show you the setup that can be good. So this is what is being used in time trial. It's 50-30 on the wings, 100-25-100 all the way left, 41, 5, 19, 21, 23, 54. The ride height is quite high here to assist you getting over the curbstones. 155 and then 28.4 on the front PSI and 26.5 on the rear. In a racing situation, what I would advise is running maximum tire pressure, running 56% brake bias, and then as well bringing the off-road differential to 30% will give you good stability, and then bringing the front wing down to like 45 in a racing situation will help make the car more balanced over the long stint and avoid the snaps of oversteer that you will inevitably be getting if you have such an oversteering car. So that has been the full analysis, and now I'm going to be showing you one of my qualifying laps from WOR in Q1. That was a 13.8, so it was a very good lap, and it's going to show you all the techniques and the racing lines in a full speed analysis for you to do at home. Thank you so much for watching, and I've been Brendon Leigh. If you enjoyed this video, please sure to hit the like, subscribe, and as well, we have a break week from League Racing now, so I plan to do some tutorials and to be helping you as much as possible during this little break that we have. So if you have any tutorials that you'd like to see, be sure to post them down in the comments, and I'll make it my top priority to get them done for you at home. So enjoy the full speed hot lap, and I will catch you in the next video. Grazie ragazzi, ciao ciao, bye bye. Oops. I was going for the PB.